I'm no longer at home in the Democratic Alliance. To stay on for the sake of earning a salary isn't an option to me. To stay on and say I will face those charges and weather the storm and show them up for what they are, for the sake of what? 6 months maybe of turmoil, because the plot is very clear. They have to rid the DA of any of us who dare to speak up about the truth, that all South Africans' lives matter, that the prosperity of all South Africans matters, the lifting up out of poverty of all our people matters, the livelihoods of all our people matters. And though I am beholden to the DA for the opportunity it afforded me in contributing to building a better South Africa, the current Democratic Alliance isn't the same one I joined 22 years ago. I can no longer drive my aim for a better South Africa in this environment, and I am aware of many more DA members who feel the very same way as I do. So, fellow South Africans, today I announce that I am resigning as a member of the Democratic Alliance.
Now, Refiloe Nt'sekhe is the Democratic Alliance's national spokesperson, and she joins us now via video link to unpack this a little bit more. Refiloe, one must say, though, that, of course, what Mr. Moodey has noted, perhaps to some extent, is true to an extent. Would you agree with it? I mean, how unfortunate is this, and how big a blow is it for the party?
Rabile, let me greet you first, then greet your viewers and say thank you for having me on. Yes, indeed, we are saddened and believe this is a very sad day for the DA that we lose a provincial leader, especially somebody who was contesting for the federal leadership position, because he's not a Mickey Mouse contender. He was genuinely a big person in the party. However, you know, democracy does prevail. The DA, his opportunity was to continue serving in the organization, and we believe we are the only party that was geared and ready to unseat the ANC currently. So it is a sad day. However, we must say democracy prevails. People have freedom of association within this country. And if Mr. Moodey feels it's time to leave the organization, then we have to give him that due respect, you know.
He does say, though, that he no longer feels at home within the party. Have you been able to identify the reason behind that and address exactly why that was?
Look, Arabile, if you even listen to Mr. Moodey, he says there was charges against him. I'm going to call it charges against him. In a democratic environment such as the DA, you are innocent until you are proven guilty. He still had an opportunity to go through the FLC process, prove himself to be innocent before leaving the organization. It is quite sad that he doesn't allow himself to then prove his innocence and jumps ship before he's able to go through that process. And then that makes that case basically go mute, because you cannot pursue a case if a person has now basically cessated their membership with the organization.
So in dealing with the issues of him no longer feeling at home and it being a trumped-up charge as well, that now all falls by the wayside. Have we perhaps looked into exactly the reasoning behind him feeling this aggrieved, though? Because surely that is of worry as well. As you said, this is a provincial leader you're losing.
Yes. Look, there's a reality. When you have allegations of the charges that he's facing, of him basically manufacturing charges against a member of parliament in the DA, and then not wanting to stand through the process, one wonders why he's actually leaving. It is concerning. But then to use the race card is also concerning, because people keep saying Helen and John, and those two people were democratically elected, even in the same forum that John Moodey was a part of, because outside of the Federal Congress, we have Federal Council, which is where we elect interim leaders. So the people were duly elected. Federal Council is attended by about 150 members throughout the party, and they were elected. There were two other contenders, for example, Helen's position. When Arthur left, it was Thomas Walters, it was Helen, it was the likes of Helen herself, and Helen came out victorious. So we count democracy and take democracy very seriously. Helen didn't put herself in that position. John Steenhuisen didn't put himself in that position. They were duly elected. So we must always respect the outcomes of a democratic election, because we could today also say we don't want to see Cyril Ramaphosa as the president of South Africa. We must take him to the polls and vote him out if we don't like him. So John Hayden has served well. As a provincial leader, he is well known. He had a very good opportunity to also become the federal leader, because he's already got a whole province rallying behind him as a provincial leader. So everybody had a good chance in terms of the upcoming federal Congress, which will take place later this year. So for him to have jumped ship, I think it's his own personal decision, and we must respect him and wish him well and thank him for the time that he has served in this organization. It's under his leadership that we did well in the 2016 elections. So I think it's neither here nor there.
As you said, he played a big role, particularly in that 2016 election as well. What happens from here in terms of trying to replace a juggernaut of his caliber? Will you be able to do so in the short term? I know you're going to tell me that, of course, the party does elect its own leaders. There are people within the party. But we're talking about somebody, of course, with immense experience, with immense knowledge within the party itself here. How do you replace that at such short notice as well, headed off into next year and the year beyond?
I think it's important to know that we are not left in a leadership vacuum. John was part of the leadership of Gauteng on the DA. So we have still got leaders left in the province. In fact, Gauteng itself is going into an elective congress at the end of this month, which leaves us with a couple of weeks to go. We still have the likes of Mike Moriarty as the provincial chairperson, who will continue to steer the ship, and his deputy, Bongani Nkomo. So there's no vacuum. We will continue to run this race. We have seen through our own polling and other things that we do that we are growing very well. We are beginning to see that we are the only party that will generally be able to unseat the ANC in the upcoming elections. Things have been doing well for us. When you look at how we've operated under this lockdown, the party has proven itself to be a party of government, and really people are starting to gravitate towards the Democratic Alliance. So for us, there's no leadership vacuum. We've got an elective Congress in a couple of weeks. We've still got two very strong leaders within the organization in terms of this province of Gauteng. And Mike is not alone. He's got deputies and an executive, and there's a whole lot of regional chairs within Gauteng as well, from the East, Sidibeng, East, West, as well as Johannesburg. So those people continue to lead. We never have one leader. We have a leadership, which is a lot of people
Refiloe,
to lead, because you never want to build a brand around one person.
Refiloe, how do we reassure, very quickly, how do we reassure voters then that indeed the Democratic Alliance is still as it is and still the formidable force that we'd like it, or like to believe that it is indeed, in fighting against, whether it be just things like corruption as well, not just, of course, against the ANC?
I think the beauty of it, Arabile, is that we've actually got a policy conference happening this weekend, which we will brief the media on maybe today, tomorrow or Friday. And in those conferences, we will really bed down, dot the T's and cross the I's in terms of what's happening and our policy. And then we will start building towards a manifesto that we can sell to South Africans. Where we've governed, we continue to govern well. You know very well, Midval has had 8 consecutive clean audits. So there's nothing that is stopping this ship from continuing to sail, because we've lost one leader. In terms of, if you look at our National Assembly, tremendous work has continued to be done there in holding ANC to account on the work, especially now around COVID. We, in my other head in Gauteng, with the rest of the team under the leadership of Solim Simang, we continue to hold Mr. Makura and his cabinet to account. So the DA doesn't stop moving. We continue to work because people must know that this is a party of government, and we do have governments that we actually run.
Yeah. Refiloe, thank you so much for the time. Truly appreciated then this afternoon. All the best with that as well. Then we'll see how things fare as well as you head towards the polls and even to your own elective Congress as well very soon. As you noted there, Refiloe Nt'sekhe is the DA's national spokesperson.